Hello, everybody. I have Raymond Tiago with us. He signed up for our REI Reply Turbo setup. I want to just get his thoughts on his experience with working with us, and hopefully you guys can see the benefit of working with us as well. So I'll go ahead and introduce Raymond, give him the floor. He's been an investor for about a year, right, in California, and had some struggles with direct mail. We got him on the right path with setting up his REI Reply account, getting him 10 DLC approved, and also getting him where, most importantly, he can get leads in every day instantly, not tomorrow, not the next month, but every day when he sends off his text blast. So I'll go ahead and give Ray the floor, let him talk about what worked with us and how working with us was more beneficial than what he was doing previously. So Ray, thank you so much for joining, and I'll go ahead and put it. Yeah.
Well, I should have did this a while ago. I think I had reached out to CC in February of 2025, and I probably should have reached out to you more in October, because I remember we were talking in October. But from October to February, I sent out mailers. They didn't work. I did bandit signs. They didn't work. I was trying to not do cold calling, because I hate cold calling. So I was trying to do something else in the marketing terms to not do cold calling. Mailers didn't work. And I was told to send out like 5 sets. First send one out every 2 weeks to the same person. And after the first set goes out, I found out that I only got 2 back per, I think I sent out 5,000 mailers. So go for that ratio. And then I did bandit signs. Bandit signs definitely didn't work. I would drive by 2 or 3 days and all my signs were gone. And then I would get the competition calling me, asking me questions, trying to deter me from even getting on the phone. So text messaging, I felt like it's a lot better. At least I could get the marketing part out of the way. And now I can focus on the acquisition side and focus on getting comms right, talking to sailors, overcoming objections, all those things I need to sharpen my skills on. So at least now I can sharpen my skills on all those things instead of just marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you said about being able to sharpen your skills, because I think a lot of investors get stuck in that marketing zone, and they end up going all in on marketing, and they end up getting really diverted from doing the part of the real estate business, which is talking to sellers, which is the most important part, putting out offers. Marketing is the first part of it. And if you're struggling to get leads in, then you're going to be struggling to basically learn the business. And I found, just in my experience with working with a lot of investors that are new, they don't even really have an opportunity to learn the process of wholesaling, of investing, because they don't have any leads to be able to practice on, essentially. So do you feel like that was your experience as well?
Oh, definitely. Even with the first month of me getting replies back from text messaging, I'm thinking I know I could just follow the script that I've been given. And, you get the scripts from other gurus, and you think you can follow the script and you'll be just fine. And then when there's sellers, they don't go by the script, and life doesn't go by the script. So now I'm having to do things by ear, or I'm having to call audibles per se, and I'm making mistakes. And so now I'm almost 3 months in. Now I feel a little bit more seasoned on what my mistakes are, what I need to polish up on, and overcoming those objections and all the little nuances that come with things that aren't planned. So definitely now the marketing is somewhat out the way, but it's still, you still market and you try to get your target areas. But now the meat and potatoes is the acquisitions and dispositions, and helping to contact the seller, get the sellers and with investors and everything about that, even just from contacting real estate agents and them contacting you, realtors, investors, flippers. It's magnanimous on the amount of information that I didn't have, or I still feel like I don't have, because it's still a learning process. And that's where I'm excited the most, is because it's a learning process. Even though I got two properties in contract, and even still there's still a lot to learn. And so I'm just glad that I'm able to be in this aspect versus still stuck in the marketing phase, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And what I found is that the investors that get into real estate, they're great on the phone, but that marketing piece, they may not have the skill sets to be able to see that through, or even have like the have the mindset to learn everything it is about marketing, right? Because you can end up going down that path and you don't know what you don't know, essentially, right? And so I personally think that that should just be a set it and forget it type of thing. So you can focus on where your zone of genius lies, right? So
Right.
what do you think you spent on direct mail, right? Because you were in California and you said you got what, 5 leads maybe in total?
My first set I did, I'm in Sacramento, so the Sacramento Stockton area in California. So my first set of mailers, I just targeted Stockton. And I think I spent about $1,800 worth of mailers. I got 2 leads. And all of those 2 leads, one lady, she was just underwater in her property. And there was no way I can help her. And the other guy, if I knew what I knew now, just dealing with sellers and their objections and the approach, I would have got that property in contract. But since that was my first property, actually dealing with the seller, I lost it, and the guy ended
Mm,
up selling his house to someone else. I would have that. I still think about that. That should have been my first deal, but
uh,
I wasn't seasoned enough, and
and
I was still focused on marketing. So it was that. I've sent about $1,000 in bandit signs. Um, I probably spent a good $2,500, $3,000 in mailers alone. And that may seem like just a little bit of money to someone, but to me, from my budget, that was a lot of money. I was pretty much just going all in, thinking like, okay, this is gonna work. They said it's gonna work. And then on top of that, joining another mentorship program that ended up costing me I don't even want to say.
yeah,
it cost 15 grand, and I ended up getting 12 of it back. So it ended up costing 3.
okay. So they refunded you?
Yeah, I had to fight for that. Like I really had to fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, it's good to hear that you got your money back, but still, when you look at it, it was a loss, right? Because you had maybe like 5 leads, 2 look solid. That's not much that you could follow up with over time. But I would say experience is the best educator. And unfortunately, sometimes that's when you learn what is right and what is wrong. There's a right way to do this, and then the knowledge that you get, some of it's antiquated, some of it's dated. And I've seen that there's a lot of antiquated information out there that doesn't work now, or a lot of the information that's being put out by people on YouTube and social media, these people that have hundreds of thousands of followers, that may work for them if they have the infrastructure to get 20, 30 deals a month, but that may not translate to somebody who's working a 9 to 5 job just trying to get their first deal. One thing that I like doing is making it relatable to the 9 to 5 investor or the investor trying to get their first deal, because there's levels, there's different things that you focus on in that first 1 to 3 deals a month, stabilizing that versus 5, 10 deals a month. There's different infrastructure that you need as far as personnel, the list that you're pulling, your marketing strategy, where you're targeting. So another point I'd like to mention too is the margin of error. Your margin of error is much lower, and you have to be mindful of the risk whenever you are targeting investors, and you're working in a tight market like Sacramento, and also when you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of leads. So you need to be able to have a lot more leads in order to practice on. I feel like, in order to practice, go through those errors. If you're trying to put everything on this one deal and you don't really know what you're doing, man, like that could break you, especially if you put 15, 20 grand out. Go ahead.
And that was, yeah, that I think that was my that was definitely was the problem, because you're thinking, okay, I got 2 leads. These leads got to turn it into something, so the pressure's on, and you're thinking you can't. In the back of your mind, I'm thinking, I got this, no mistakes. It should be a slam dunk. But then you got these objections. You got things that you don't even think that are going to happen that actually happen, and you end up losing the deal. But you're losing everything because you only have 2 deals. Versus, I have a whole pad of leads, and every lead is different. There's people in there, they're kicking tires. People just say stuff just to say stuff. Now I got a lot more leads, which means I have a lot more scenarios to work with, which means I'm getting a lot more experience. Even if I lose a lead and it doesn't end up anywhere, at least I got the experience now to say, okay, when I'm hearing these type of things from a seller, this usually means they're kicking tires, or this usually means they're motivated, or this usually means the house needs work, or they're emotionally attached to the house. There's so many different avenues now that I'm hearing from sellers that I wasn't hearing before, and now I can pick up on these little nuances. And so like you're saying, the margin for error is a lot bigger because I have a lot more leads. But then also on the same note, there's more experience. Now I get more experience with just the smaller amount of marketing. And that's why I felt like that was like the best benefit for me.
I love it. Love it. And which is why I am emphasizing now lead generation for anybody who is not doing more than 3 to 5 deals a month consistently. I'm not talking about one deal every 4 months or every 3 months. If you're not doing deals consistently, you have to focus on marketing. It's like the only thing that matters, talking to sellers and getting a surplus of sellers in. So let's talk about the texting. So how many leads do you feel like you generated since you started with us?
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at this paper, this tablet. It has to be at least like 50 to 60 leads at least. And then out of that 50 to 60 leads, that you keep, like I'm still calling this lady here, and this is back from mid-April. Mm-hmm. But schedule, she keeps missing me. I keep missing her. Schedules change. So I still consider it a lead until there's an absolutely no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so I'll still keep going through all these leads, these old leads back in April, May, and I'll still keep until it said there's a lady in here. She finally said no. We're actually going to keep it. It's going to stay in the family. So I just took her out and I'm like, okay, thank you for your time, no problem. But even then, dealing with her, then dealing with her daughter, and going back and forth, I feel like I got a good experience with overcoming objections or just calling back, following up, and now I learned a little bit more about myself, what it takes to get me motivated. Once I make that first phone call, it's on.
Okay.
It's taking that first phone call to get me started, but once I press that green button, it's on.
Yeah. So I love to see it.
I feel like I learned that about you. Start to learn more about yourself and what your good things are, what you need to work on, what your weaknesses, what your strengths are when you're doing this versus just marketing. Marketing is just I'm glad I wish you could show that chart that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And that I
timeline.
Yeah, that timeline that's money.
Yeah. Okay, I'll actually pull it up and for the
I keep that in my mind a lot.
For you guys that are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, the chart that Ray is referencing is my wholesaling timeline. I created this about 5 years ago after analyzing hundreds of investment companies. I literally have been on over 1,000 one-on-one calls with clients, prospects, and what I realized is that there are essentially 3 departments, 3 separate business models in the wholesaling business model, right? This is a team play, guys, right? You can do it solo up to maybe like 3 to 5 deals is pushing it. You might need 1 VA or marketing VA or a lead manager VA once you get up to maybe 200, 300 leads. But for the most part, you can do all these processes yourself. But a lot of investors get stuck in that marketing piece. And after that marketing piece, you have lead management and follow-up, which, Ray, that's what you're focused on with that one young lady that you're speaking with. And then you have the acquisitions piece. So getting it under contract, chasing the seller down to get the property under contract. Then you have to move the deal. And then you have TC. So imagine if you're stuck in this phase right here. It's like with Monopoly. You're not even able to pass go. You're not even able. You could be wholesaling or trying to wholesale for 2-3 years, and you're still on the first block on the proverbial Monopoly board, right? It actually looks like in your background you have a Monopoly chess. The no risk, no reward. Yeah. Oh, that's so. Well, this is a sign. I literally did not plan this. You have the Monopoly goal board in the back, set goals and go. So those are the icons back there. So this analogy really will hit home with you and anybody that watches this. You are literally right here, and you're not even able to pass go if you get stuck on your market research, your list pulling, skip tracing. It's just this perpetual loop. And investors unfortunately think they are doing the business by putting in this work, paying 15 grand for coaching programs, and you could be going the completely wrong direction, right? And so it's my job in this industry to get people on that right track and going in the right direction, right? I have seen so many investors burn out and fizzle out because they've spent, I know a guy who spent $100,000, and I came in and I consulted him, and I came in the business when he was about 6 months in. He had about 50 grand in credit, and he was just paying a company for like lead managers, virtual assistants. And, I was trying to get him on the right path. It was a little bit too late. And, he burned out and he fizzled out. And I was trying to get him on the right path. And if you listen to too many people, if you're not sure what you don't know, literally you can just be spending money thinking you're doing things right. And then you burn out. You get taken advantage of, and then that's when people say wholesaling or investing is a scam, right? It's because literally they're spending money in areas where they think that they should be spending it, but they don't, but they shouldn't.
This goes in, now that I think about it, I had thought about this marketing, because I work for I'm an independent contractor technically, but I work for a cabinet company. Mm-hmm. And for me I do a project management, but for me to do sales, I had to market my own sales. So I was sending out mailers. I would go on Facebook, go on Instagram. So I was doing the same exact thing for the cabinet company that I was doing for wholesaling. And then it dawned on me, I'm not doing anything with either business directly. I'm just a marketing person right now. That's all I think. I figure I'm just marketing. I'm not doing anything that's directly related to the business. I'm not honing in on my skills. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just a marketer. And so and then I'm like, what? It's time to give CC Garland a call.
That's usually when people come to me whenever they tried other things. And I like it that way usually, because then I have a point of reference, right? Where it was like, hey, you were doing this, so let's try this. And I think people really see the benefit of that after they try things that didn't work. It's unfortunate that the people that get the best results it's after they spend a lot of money in other areas that didn't work. But that's usually when they're open, ready, and more available to hear what I'm saying and then trust 100% what I was saying. I know offline we were talking on Facebook Messenger, and you mentioned one of the points. I love how you said it. I think it was like you wish you listened to some of the things I said before, rather than even after we start working together. I know I pulled a list for you, which was included in the program. But I think you pulled a list in Santa Clara, or where was it, county?
I did Sacramento again.
Sacramento, that's right. Yeah. So how did that go? Even with the texting?
All bad.
Mm-hmm. Your market matters. It matters. There's actually there's a image that I posted on Facebook, and I'll share this with everybody because I think it really drives home the point as far as your marketing, and a successful marketing campaign is really made up of multiple components. It's not just one component. It's a few components here. So let's go ahead and go to Facebook.
And even when I did the Sacramento list,
mm-hmm.
And I did all the components, I was tweaking them a little bit onto what I thought. And that, we're probably going to show it right now. It's a lot. So you start tweaking one little thing here and then one thing there, and your list is going to end up messed up. And I think that's also what happened with Sacramento. And it just wasn't a conducive market for what I want to do. And then now I started looking at it more. It's very, 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 very competitive in the wholesaling aspect. I don't think I would be able to compete with people that are putting commercials in the middle of in 10 a.m.
doing radio ads and all this stuff. It's not beginner friendly. And I agree with you 100% and 110% actually. And that market selection is a huge factor. I think it's the first piece that determines whether or not your campaign is going to be great. Because this is an extreme example, but if I'm in Alaska, like Anchorage, Alaska, it doesn't matter how great my list is, how great my marketing channel is. I don't think there's a lot of investment opportunity there. So a lot of investors, they have preconceived notions as far as why they think their campaigns may not work well. And it's never looking at the mirror and saying, you know what, maybe it's actually somewhere where I'm not even looking, right? There's notions as far as, okay, well, this list vendor wasn't great. It's on them. Or my cold callers suck, right? Not the fact that you're in California or Alaska or Boston, Massachusetts, where the median sale prices are $800,000, right? So where did we take you again? Where did we take you, and what list did we pull for you? Which got you those 2 contracts?
Oh, we did a nationwide list.
Yeah.
But the nationwide list, I believe it was for it was the amount of the mortgage that was owed, the property value, and then the ownership, the amount of years that was owned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was those 3 things, I believe.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Excuse me.
And when I pull them, and when you pull these properties up on Google Earth, a lot of them were boarded up or in dire conditions. And even if they're in a small area, like I think I pulled one that was in Jamestown, New York. I've never heard of Jamestown, New York in my entire life. I had no idea where it was at. So, but it fit the criteria and it worked, because that's one of them I have in contract right now. And so now my next obstacle is building up and maintaining a buyer's list. And so that's just that I'd rather deal with that obstacle than have to deal with the marketing obstacle. That's way better.
Your buyers are paying you. Yeah, that's a good problem to have, where it's like, okay, I need buyers for this property now. And I actually have your criteria here. So we did a national distressed, vacant tax delinquent list. So I was like, I'm going to get you 2 properties under contract. So it was vacant, not just absentee, meaning in the last 30 days, it was verified by the post office that nobody was living at those addresses. Tax delinquent, so at least 1 year behind on taxes, automatically absentee since it was vacant, and distress. So in my proprietary system that I use, we classify distress as people that own their houses for more than 10 years and they bought their houses for less than 100K. And I did a filter on your list where I was only targeting zip codes nationwide where the median sale prices were 250,000 or below in the last 30 days.
That's the filter. That's the next one there.
Yeah. So how many texts do you think you had to send off in order to get those 2 properties under contract?
I think I sent a total of 8,000 text messages, but I think that's what it was, because in all honesty, I think you had gave me two lists.
Okay.
I think I had 2 10,000 lists, but then when you filter out the mobile phones versus the regular phones, I think altogether those both came out to about 8,000. But out of those 8,000, if anyone does it, you'll see when you get the text message, just say no, 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 and then it's like yes, then no, and then you get it throughout the day as you're working throughout the day. Then you get it you wake up in the morning and you'll still see it. Then you wake up and it just keeps going. It keeps going. Even just for someone just to reply back, no, I felt like it was a good thing. At least I got it. And I was just thinking, at least I got a reply back.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, no, 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 I'll still get a list. No, no, no. Then it's, oh, okay, yes, okay. Let me tell that person I'll give them a call in an hour or 2 or later on throughout the afternoon. And then, so now I'm doing the appointment setting. And then when I actually call the person, then you could determine. And that's what I consider a lead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think I probably got, just for that, just the aspect of getting a lead to call the person, it had to be over 100. And then once you start determining what the person is, what they want, or, what the property condition, et cetera, then it turns into me putting it on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of my first leads was, the guy was like, yeah, whatever you could get me for the property. And it was just a vacant piece of land. Come to find out, he owed $30,000 on the property, and I think the land wasn't worth more than 10. So okay. I just let it go. But at least that was like one of my first week. But I was thinking, at least I called. At least he replied back.
Yeah.
Like I don't have then marketing is finished.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you're getting them consistently. I love that. So what would you say as far as like the difficulty or the ease of it? What would you say on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as sending the messages off? And then once we set everything up for you, did your demo call, scale from 1 to 10, how easy was it for you to send off the text? So like 0 being like extremely difficult and then 10 being just super easy, a breeze.
The first one was about an 8
Okay.
because it was before we even had the demo call. I
Oh,
tried
wow.
to do it myself. It was like I'd say about a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then when we did the demo call, then it turned to a 9. Then we had a second demo call and it turned into an 11.
You're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about our system, but I also hate secretly. Like I never hear from my clients usually. So like, because it's so easy and we set it up, we get them set up, and then if I don't hear from them, I know it's a good thing because they're getting results. It's only an issue when I don't hear from people, like when I was doing a lot of coaching or when I hear from them a lot, it's like usually everything's on fire. So if I don't hear from them, usually they're locking up deals and I'll check with them in a month or 2. They're like, yeah, I closed 5 deals. Or I have like, 2 properties under contract. So, that's great to hear. I think a lot of people need to hear that because if they hear me saying it, they're going to be like, okay, of course, CC can do this. He's super technical, super smart, yada, yada, yada. But, hearing somebody who's, working a 9 to 5 job, because you work a 9 to 5 and you're still able to find time to send these off. I don't know how you can even find enough time to, one, call people yourself, cold calling, or manage a virtual team of cold callers. With a cold caller, you can generate, if you have a good cold caller and you're on top of them, maybe one cold caller could generate 20 to 30 leads. On average, we're not talking about super great cold callers. We're talking about on average 20 to 30 leads over the course of a month. You could generate that like in a week with texting, I feel like.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. And you don't, now you were doing, I think like 500 texts a day, maybe, right?
Yeah, I don't do more than 500 a day because I don't want to get overloaded. But the Sacramento list that I did, I was getting any leads, so I moved it up to 1,500 a day, and I was still not getting any leads.
Yeah.
And so I think after a week, I just stopped because I don't want to keep sending out text messages.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think it's important to note that if you aren't getting any leads in that first week, guys, pivot your market, right? It's probably the market. If you're doing text messaging, you should get about a 1% lead rate. In some areas, it's about a 0.5, which is really good. So you send off 1,000 messages, you could get 5 to 10 leads back, like clockwork, guys. If you're not getting that, it's usually your market or the numbers you're using, right? On top of that, too, a lot of these other tools and even REI Reply, as it comes out of the box, they drip the messages off. So really, there's no way you can hit more than 1,000 sellers probably in a day the way that it's set up. One thing that we do on this end is that you're able to upload your list and then blast them off at once. No VAs needed. You can do it yourself. We have flippers that do this, full-time flippers. I have people that are 60 years old. We just set up an account for a guy that's 70, and he's able to do it pretty easily. And we have that support and a Slack support group, which I'm actually setting up today. And I'll be inviting you, Raymond, to that, where if there's any technical support, guys, we have you covered on that. So it's all about getting people successful results, getting them in front of sellers, so you're not sitting here focused on the marketing. Last thing I want to mention.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but the REI Reply, they do have an app, and I usually do not like apps. I'm not an app person. I try to keep my apps to a minimum, but I felt like I had to have it because I couldn't be sitting at the computer, sitting at my desktop, waiting for text messages to come in.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the app, and it's good to reply back and to set an appointment. That's the only thing I pretty much use the app for. I reply back, try to set an appointment. Let me call you in an hour or later on today. And the way that I try to do my appointments, I try to give people 2 options. Can I call you? How's this afternoon or evening working? And then they usually reply back, I'm in the afternoon, or someone who's really hard pressed. I'm busy. And I go, okay, if you're busy, well then I'll try to give you a call in the afternoon. Then they go, I'm busy. And I'm like, well then I'll give you a call in the evening. okay. And then they have no choice but to say, okay. And I go, is 5 or 6 okay? Well, I'm still going to be busy around 5. Well, then I'll give you a call between 6 and 7, or I'll say 7 and 8, since they're going to be, and then and I set the appointment, and then when I get back home, then I have everything in front of me, like how I want, and I'm ready to attack.
That's perfect. And then you can set the text up in the morning, send them off on the computer, and then go about your day, have the app open, and then respond back to the sellers like that. That's perfect.
Funny. That's actually what I do. I go to the gym, I come back, I blast my list, and then I do what I have to do throughout the day. And then throughout the day, you just get it just comes in, bling, 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 bling.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that you can do this without a virtual assistant?
Oh yeah, I definitely, yeah. I mean, REI Reply is kind of my virtual assistant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people think there's just a lot of misconceived notions, man, about like texting, the legality, whether or not they need VAs and everything. But since the 10 DLC laws went into place in October 2023, it basically reset all of texting. And the way that we were doing it before, the numbers, KPIs, benchmarks that we were getting, completely different now, just simply because people don't know how to get approved with the 10 DLC. And then on top of that too, they may be using a product or service, one of these other tools, even REI Reply out of the box, that's dripping the campaigns out. And then at that point, you will need a VA, because you can't send them off at once. There's no other tool that you can just upload them and send them off all at once, right? It's going to be dripping like the text one at a time. And so you can go throughout your day with that, and you may only get 500 messages sent off, by in 5 hours. That's not enough time to reply back to people if they're getting sent off at 4 o'clock, and then you're eating your dinner. It's just unproductive. It's a lot more productive being able to send them off in a blast and then at once, and then you're able to reply back in a day. For people that have been around, who are watching this, who are around before 2023, who were doing texting, the way we set it up is basically you're able to text how you were pre-pandemic, right? And
I think we went through that in the training where you were asking me if I wanted to do a drip or a blast.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's a drip? And he was explaining, I'm like, no, I do. I want to do it. I want to just send them all at once.
Send them all at once, right? Right. And so all the other tools are drip. So you have a competitive advantage. Anybody that works with us has a competitive advantage where you're able to send off. If you want to do 5,000 texts in one day, you can. I don't suggest that to new investors, because you can miss a lot of leads, right? Especially if you're just starting, you want to go through the leads. I would even take that time, if somebody's not super motivated, to still try to comp it out to get your knowledge up. But I know I gave you my 3 videos on YouTube on the comping, right? So I found that a lot of investors, they have difficulty comping, because guess what? If you don't have any leads, you're not going to have anything to comp. You're not going to be able to practice, right? You're not going to be able to practice comping, getting offers out. And so there's a lot of issues that come out of not getting leads, right? Not having lead flow, which is why I focus on that. And I'm just like, focus on that. Everything else will take care of itself after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to wrap things up, do you have any final thoughts, just as far as like the system, support, advice that you would give to anybody else that wants to work with us? I'll give it to you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Oh man, it's just experience. I felt like right now I've got a lot more experience in the last 2 months than any other time with wholesaling, because I was going up and down with wholesaling. I would start, then I'd be like, I quit, and then I start again, then I quit again. So this is exactly where I would want to be, even though I know results may vary, but I'd rather do it this way and get and this is how my life has been, where I'm always getting the skills acquired first, and then the fruits happen way later down the line, and it's like by tenfold. So I know that the results are going to come, but at least now I can get my skills up. Even with there's even the markets are I'm dealing with different markets because we did the nationwide list, but you can see certain trends with the way that the city is set up on how your market is going to be. And so I've looked at so many cities that once you cross a certain area, you're like, okay, the property value is probably going to go down. The property value may go up. Or now that I'm able to comp, I go on Facebook, market the property. Now I could deal with a realtor. And sometimes I get realtors who are just arrogant, and then you get other realtors who actually want to educate. So now I'm getting more experience dealing with realtors and dealing with agents versus just marketing.
Absolutely. I love to hear. I love to hear. And I think a lot of people in your position share the same experience. They really do.
And you get to, and now feel like I'm interacting more with other wholesalers that are in the same position, but it's just in different markets versus all I was doing was just marketing. And it was, I could tell it was eating at the pockets, but it was really, it eats at you mentally, because you're like, okay, I'm sending out. Now I'm doing it double fold. I'm doing it for a cabinet business and I'm doing it for wholesaling. So it's double fold. I'm like, okay, I'm sending out mailers for cabinets. Now I'm sending out mailers for wholesaling. It's just, this is the meat and potatoes of it all. That's how I feel like this is really the meat and potatoes of it all. And this is where you build up your not only your skills, but your contacts, and you go from where it'll help the business.
Mm-hmm. And it could be draining too. Just it could weigh on you and discourage you if you're spending that type of money on marketing and you're not getting any leads, and you're like, why isn't this working? And that makes you think, well, you start doubting yourself, or you just start doubting whether or not real estate is something that's possible. Or, are these people online that are saying they're doing 100 deals a year? Are they lying? It's like, I feel like I'm missing something here. And for me personally, I want to be that person that fills in that 20% gap, because I think most people that are in this industry, if you've been around for more than like 6 months, you understand the meats and potatoes of it, right? How to wholesale, how to talk to sellers. It's these little intricacies that aren't really spoken about on social media that I really like filling in the gaps and giving people those aha moments, right? And I just feel like that's just an area that a lot of, like 90% of the new investors are dealing with. They just don't know how to get leads and how to get them in consistently, and then be able to actually do the part of the business that they love, which is talking to sellers, lock them up. Most people get in this industry because they're extroverted. They love talking to people, and they're like, hey, I can do that. And then they get in, and then they're stuck with computer work, and they're like, I didn't sign up for this. And then they think it's not for them. But like I mentioned on the wholesaling timeline image that I showed a few minutes ago, marketing's only one part of it. And it's just like the tip of the iceberg. And then you have all these other steps that's the business in itself. That's the business.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. Yeah. I feel like I'm an introvert, and if I get in front of a seller, then they're usually going to tell me everything that I need to know, and I don't have to really talk much.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But it's the whole part of getting in front of the seller, or getting on the phone with the seller. And so once I'm there, then I'm there. But it was just before, it's just marketing and how to get there. It's almost like saying, you know what, I'm a good driver, but man, I don't have a car, but get me behind the wheel and I'm good to go.
Perfect analogy. Perfect analogy. Love it.
I feel like that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, well, great. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Everybody, Raymond Tiago, we call him Ray. Been a great client, one of my favorite ones to work with, actually. I know I don't say favorites, but yeah, you've been one of my favorite ones to work with. It's mainly just because you implement the things that I state, and you're going to see results quicker. Some investors, they need to do trial and error. I was one of those type of hard-headed people. I needed to do trial and error until I was like, well, let me just pay somebody that knows more than me. So I paid to play. And you don't have to pay 15 grand to get started with us. So, Raymond, I appreciate you doing this, taking time out of your day. And guys, once Raymond locks up these contracts, maybe we'll do a follow-up interview with him to see how he's going.
Well, for sure. We could do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And happy investing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye.